Hi everybody, I'm Sue Ellen Clayton. Welcome to my channel where we'll be learning the tarot deck one card at a time. Today's video is about the Ten of Wands. This video will begin with a short description of the card. Next, I'll briefly explain what the Ten of Wands means when it appears in a reading. Then we'll talk about what each element symbolizes and what the card means when it shows up in both the upright and reversed position in a reading. I'll share some examples from my life so you can relate the card to a real-world situation. And stay tuned until the end and I'll give you several questions to help you connect with this card. I will be using the Rider-Waite Tarot in this video. You'll find the link to the deck below, as well as to the many books that I have used in my research. So let's get started. In the Ten of Wands, we see a blonde man pushing 10 wands towards a village. He is holding the wands in a very uncomfortable manner, and it looks like he is under a terrible amount of stress. He is wearing a dull red colored tunic over a gray shirt, and his shoes are brown. He is heading towards a village where we see a house, a church, trees, and plowed fields. The earth is a dirty yellow color. When the Ten of Wands shows up in a reading, it means that, no matter how difficult the struggle, we can reach our destination if we persevere and keep going. This card can also mean that you are pushing yourself too hard and need to lighten your load, either by letting some of your burdens go or by asking for help. This is card number 10, and the 10s represent completing what you set out to do in the aces. Let's go back to what we see in the card and discuss what each element symbolizes. We see a man pushing 10 wands toward a village. Look at how he is holding the wands. It would be so much easier for him to hold them over his shoulder and have them in front of him, horizontal, and then curl his arms around them and hold them close to his body. Instead, he's got his head in the middle of the wands so he can't see where he's going. He's hunched over, and it looks like he's come up with the most painful way possible to carry the wands. He can't even see what's ahead, although he's clearly familiar with the village in the distance and knows where it is. The wands are a metaphor for burdens and responsibilities. Clearly he has a lot of burdens, but he's chosen to shoulder everything himself. He's also holding all of the wands together, so it's clear that he won't drop any. Overall, he looks very uncomfortable and like he is under a tremendous amount of stress, yet he's made things worse by choosing an uncomfortable posture and not asking for help. Blonde hair shows someone who is quite young or naive. He is wearing a gray shirt under a dull red colored tunic. Gray can mean intensity and austerity, so it seems that he has thought about what he is doing and may have chosen the uncomfortable route. Red is about determination, but the dullness shows that he is tired. His shoes are brown, which shows that he is grounded and very determined to finish his journey. He is heading towards a village where we see a house, a church, trees, and a plowed field. Houses are about security. The church is about having faith in his abilities. Trees are about growth, and the plowed field represents that you reap what you sow. The earth is a dirty yellow color, which is a mixture of the sun and darkness. When the Ten of Wands appears upright in a reading, it can mean that you think you can or should do it all, that you are feeling burdened or carrying a heavy load, you're doing all of the work or shouldering all of the responsibility. It can mean that you are pushing yourself too hard, or you are struggling but refuse to give up. It can mean that you're acting like a martyr, that you're choosing success at any cost. It can mean that you will succeed, your hard work will pay off. There is light at the end of the tunnel. It can mean it's time for a break. You're choosing the hard way. You're trying to please other people at the expense of your health. Or you're choosing to shoulder burdens that don't belong to you. Here's an example from my life about the Ten of Wands appearing upright in a reading. Over the years, my family has had 6 rescue dogs, 4 dachshunds and 2 beagles. The lady we worked with at the Dachshund Rescue was literally a saint on earth. Her entire house was devoted to dogs. She had many dogs of her own that were special needs, and she had done hundreds of rescues over the years. I know that rescuing dogs must be very difficult. All of our dogs have been badly abused, and she really saw the worst of humanity. Let's just say she carried a heavy burden, and there really wasn't anyone available to help her. She developed serious heart problems in her 50s and had to give up doing rescues. As my daughter said, rescuing literally broke her heart. She is an example of somebody who was so devoted to her work that she put her own health aside until it was too late. We're still Facebook friends, and she is disabled due to her badly damaged heart. When the Ten of Wands appears reversed in a reading, it can mean that you're putting forth a lot of effort but getting nowhere. You collapse under the pressure. You need to lighten your load by asking for help or lay down your burdens completely. It can mean that it's time for a break. You need to learn to say no. Or the pressure you feel is coming from you and nobody else, so it's time to reevaluate what you need to do. And finally, you are taking over burdens that belong to other people. Here's an example of the reversed reading from my life about putting unrealistic pressure on ourselves. I'm filming this just after Christmas, and I think that most mothers feel a lot of pressure around the holidays to create some kind of Hallmark scenario for their families. Something that we fortunately didn't have when my kids were young is the elf on the shelf. I'll put up some pictures so you can see for yourself if you're not familiar with it. Basically, he gets into all kinds of mischief. Parents hide him every day in different situations. Throughout the Christmas season, I'd see parents posting all of these insanely clever things that they'd done with their elf on a shelf. I think it's great, clean fun and probably super enjoyable if you're a kid, but all I could think of was that it added such another level of stress to the holidays. It's an example of a burden that, if I was a young parent, I would want to put down. Here are some questions to help you connect with the Ten of Wands. Number 1, are you making your life more difficult than it needs to be? Number 2, do you feel like you have the weight of the world on your shoulders? Is it time to ask for help? Number 3, do you need to start saying no? Number 4, are you doing things that are not necessary? Number 5, why do you feel the need to take on more than your share of the load? And number 6, now that you've reached the tens and are close to achieving your goals, is it time to reevaluate and do things differently in the future? I'd love to have you post your answers or insights in the comment portion of this video. I hope that you'll join me when we discuss the next card, the Page of Wands.